everyone, my name is Gabriel Hood, and welcome to another round of movie reviews. Today's focus is on Double Jeopardy. Double Jeopardy is a 1999 crime thriller starring Ashley Judd and Tommy Lee Jones and released by Paramount Pictures. The film revolves around a married woman who was wrongfully convicted of supposedly murdering her husband, come to find out that her husband faked his death and betrayed her. So when she gets out of prison, her goal is to find him and kill him, and she could do so with impunity because of the Double Jeopardy clause, and reclaim her son, but not without having her parole officer on her tail. Will she be able to prove her innocence and get revenge and reclaim her son before it's too late and she's sent back off to prison? So let's begin, shall we? The movie begins with our main protagonist, Libby Parsons, on a romantic getaway with her husband, Nick. And after sharing one intimate moment with her husband, she awakens in the middle of the night and sees blood smeared all over her and discovers a knife. And although the Coast Guard cannot find Nick's body, Libby is arrested, tried, and convicted for murder. Oh, hell no! And because she and Nick had a son together by the name of Maddie, she requests that her best friend, Angela, adopt him so he does not become a ward of the state. And when sent off to prison, Libby has an obviously difficult time acclimating herself to confinement and imprisonment, which is initially eased when Angela and Maddie make frequent visits. But those visits stop, and she ultimately learns through phone call that Nick had faked his death and betrayed her by framing her for murder.
You disloyal, fool-ass, bitch-made punk.
This greatly enrages Libby, and she plots revenge against him. And becoming further motivated when a fellow prisoner who used to be a lawyer informs her of a clause within the Fifth Amendment known as Double Jeopardy, which states that when you have been convicted of a crime, you cannot be tried for it again. So Libby interprets that knowledge that when she gets out of prison, she could track Nick down and kill him with impunity. So after going to the parole board and falsely claiming remorse, she's granted release under the supervision of parole officer Travis Lehman, who set forth very rigid conditions, which one fateful day she violates by sneaking in to her son Maddie's old school to retrieve records of their whereabouts, which doesn't pan out too well since she gets caught. So the next day, Lehman is going to send her back to prison through boat ferry. But unbeknownst to him, Libby orchestrates an elaborate escape where she fights him off, grabs his gun, and swims away. She then visits her mother, who supplies her with money and her truck, where she really begins the quest to track down Nick, kill him, prove her innocence, and reclaim her son and ultimately her life.
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life.
So she learns from Angela's former neighbor that she had died in a natural gas explosion while married to Nick. And a picture in the newspaper surrounding the story reveals a sophisticated painting that he owns that Libby traces to New Orleans through an art gallery where she is almost caught by Layman and escapes and travels to New Orleans, where Nick is living under a different name. So Libby goes to an art gallery. She goes to a fundraiser event where Nick is for philanthropy efforts, and she demands that Nick return their son to her, and deceptively claims that he had no idea that his treachery would get her thrown in jail for a crime she didn't commit, and that Angela's death was an accident. But Libby clearly doesn't buy it. And one fateful day where everything goes down, the final chain of events, she tries to retrieve Maddie, but Nick has used an imposter child as bait so he can get rid of her by placing her in the coffin with a dead body that's in the coffin, which using the gun that she stole from Layman to shoot the hinges off the coffin and escape. But Layman, who has continued to track her down, catches up with her and becomes convinced of her innocence after finding out for himself the trickery and treachery that Nick has been up to. So they set up a confrontation to bring him to justice, which quickly escalates the violence. And true to Libby's word, she gets her revenge and kills him.
I'm supposed to feel sorry for that bitch. I don't.
And Layman apologizes for not believing her in the first place and decides to make sure that she gets a full pardon and a clean record in exoneration for a crime that she did not commit to begin with. And at long last, Libby, accompanied by Layman, reunites with her son and presumably begin a new life. So my final thoughts on Double Jeopardy is, it is a very entertaining guilty pleasure. It's genuinely suspenseful, has the right amount of action, and provides a general feeling catharsis as we watch our main character, played by Ashley Judd, pursue justice at every cost, even if she had to operate outside of the very law that failed her. And although the movie appears to borrow elements from The Fugitive, especially with Tommy Lee Jones co-starring, it adds a new wrinkle with the theme of women empowerment, which is refreshing. Since women don't often get to be the heroes in this type of movie, let alone minorities. Better yet, this movie, despite being released in 1999, still resonates with people today, especially women and teenage girls. And perhaps Ashley Judd herself, because she's one of the many women that spoke out about being harassed or violated by Harvey Weinstein. And by the grace of God, he was held accountable. Finally. And this could be an opportunity for women and teenage girls to take away the lesson that do not allow anybody, let alone a man, take advantage of you. Like what happened in the movie. Because the sad part is, when women get heartbroken, betrayed, or taken advantage of in any way, society will find ways to dehumanize you and villainize you, while oftentimes allowing the man that betrayed you to get away with it. With a more recent example in real life being the Tinder swindler, the way he conned various women and they have to deal with the victim blaming. So there is a cautionary message in Double Jeopardy in that regard. Now, the only disappointment is that, again, because of the R rating, the teenage girls who could stand and learn a lesson about not allowing anybody to take advantage of them won't be able to see it without adult supervision. So parents, I advise you to take exception with this movie. Watch it with your kid. And make sure they take away a lesson of not allowing anybody to take advantage of them. All in all, it's a good movie, even if it borrows elements from The Fugitive. Hope you enjoyed this review. See you later. Peace.